welcome with another hot tea with pleasure. I am Hillary, Ontario, Canada.
And I'm Teresa in the beautiful, warm island of Barbados.
Don't
How
need
are
to
you
rub it
doing?
in our faces. Thank
Yes.
you.
Now, well, you saying that, let
hmm
me say this to you. Well, I'll leave that for your whining about. Okay,
Yeah.
welcome back to with pleasure. We're gonna keep it raw and real. Don't forget to click on links, RSS, YouTube, TikTok, and click on links, subscribe.
Instagram.
Like,
Don't forget
share,
Instagram now.
tell your friends about it. Oh yes, on our Instagram live. Remember, we go on our Instagram live at 7:50, 10 minutes before the hour. So you can join us here to get a little snippets of what we are about to do on our show. Come on over, come on in to our YouTube channel and let's talk about any topic you want to talk about. Just drop us some links and
Almost any
we will
problem.
have some fun. So let's say what you are whining about. My whining about. I like a lot of homemade items. And I found this lady.
DIYs.
She, sorry?
DIYs.
Yes, DIY.
Okay.
But I don't have to do the DIY. I found this lady, she's gonna do the DIY with me. She's gonna make it homemade pasta.
Okay.
And I can tell what type of pasta I want. If I want my pasta to be spinach pasta,
hmm
if I want to be carrot pasta. And I only met her a couple of days on Instagram.
Yeah.
So as you can see, that's my whining about. I found someone that can make my pasta instead of me having to go to the supermarket. I think
hmm
she does home delivery as well. But
Well,
I'll let you guys know. I found someone. Pasta bees.
I make my own pasta too, but that's not what I'm
You're
whining
too,
about.
you're too far away.
I'm whining about the fact that winter is coming, and I do not want winter. They said that Canada this year, Ontario, we're going to have winter like the 80s. Now, any person that was in Canada in the 80s knows that winter was horrible. I mean, it would go as high as like the poles, electrical poles. So I'm
What?
hoping that that's not true. And this is
I
the
don't
person
know.
that yeah, it used to be that bad. And I was, I'm from northern Canada, so it was bad. So I am hoping that this is just somebody that sat in their computer and had a good day, and not the real thing.
Do you need a
So
ticket to come to Barbados?
yeah, that's what I get on a hot plate. I need some heat. Let's get on with the show. Let's go. Want me to do the disclaimer?
Yes, you can.
Yep.
Yep.
So we're being joined tonight by sex coach Dr. Patty Britton. The opinion discussions are hers, and you can ask your questions, and she will share her opinion. It's her expert opinion. We will have contests coming up when you can win 20 minutes of sex coaching session or ebook, and we will have more details to follow. So we welcome to the show, man, to Hot Tea with Pleasures. Teresa, take it from there.
Yay. Okay. As Hillary said, our guest is Dr. Patty Brighton. She has led 55 SAR programs,
hmm
and SAR programs are sexual attitudes reassessment and reconstructing
hmm
training programs. Um, Over the past 10 years, she has done this in seven different countries to over 1,500 people, 1,500 people. She is an author of the only SAR training manual, which was released in Routledge Press 2017. I
hmm
pronounced that correct? Good. Brighton is nationally board certified clinical sexologist and world renowned as a pioneer of the profession of sex coaching. This should be an interesting one tonight.
Yeah.
She is the author of hundreds of articles, books, chapters, forewords, and five major books in sexology, a popular speaker to consumers and a seasoned professional trainer for her peers. Dr. Patty has hosted over 40 DVDs programs on sexual harassment, on sexual enhancement, sorry.
Yeah, not harassment.
No, something popped in just know. I'm so sorry.
That's another show.
Something just popped in my thing and blocked the whole thing. There was and 5 major books in sexology. Her media record speaks for itself, with appearances of over 200 television shows as a featured guest and over 250 interviews for radio, podcasts, and media such as, wait for it, the Cosmopolitan Men's Health and Women's Health. She's a celebrity, podcast, and popular sex health related websites. Welcome to the show, Dr. Patty Brighton.
Thank you so much. By the way, I'm Dr. Britton, not Brighton, just so people know.
Britain.
But it doesn't matter because most people refer to me as Dr. Patty. So I'm so excited to be with you tonight. This is really going to be fun. I can feel it.
Yeah. Uh-oh, they already started. Here they come. Good night, baby. Good night, Victor. Victor's already here. We're just waiting for Rudy now. He put up the pokey eyes. He was...
Okay.
Okay, Teresa, you want to start with questions?
Okay, we can get on with our show. Are you ready for these questions, Dr. Patty?
Absolutely.
Okay, first question. What are the most common challenges couples have around sex and intimacy, especially when it comes to long-term relationships?
You know, I was thinking about the answer to this question before the show, and I was going to say the most common client type that I get who are in long-term relationships are people who are sexless. They haven't had sex, some of my clients, in over 5 years, and yet they've been together for over 20 years.
Wow.
What I really think the issue is people get stuck in the concept or the idea of performance instead of pleasure. I think that's the big one. And whether you're in a short-term or a long-term relationship, if you're stuck in performing for your partner, you're not here. You're in your head. And I think that's really, in many ways, the dilemma that's going on in bedrooms all around the world. People are living neck up, we like to call it, instead of neck down. They're not on their bodies, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the problem is, okay, I'm going to show you what the problem is. This is the problem.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Too much being interrupted. Lifus interruptus is what I call it. So, you know, sex is really about flow. And if you're constantly getting a ping or a notification or a text, you know, the cord, you're not going to be present for what's happening, and you're going to be thinking about what's not happening usually, rather than what's really happening. So that's really what I see as I work with couples and clients all around the world and train professionals, as you know, through Sex Coach U, because my students then have clients and they come to me for questions around how do I work with this couple.
Do you find too that it has to do with couples having the idea of what sex is supposed to look like? You know, to try to make
Absolutely.
it trying to match that other site. You know, yeah.
I think it's, you know, what are the neighbors doing kind of mentality. It's everybody, you know, everybody else is always da-da-da-da, and we're never da-da-da-da.
Right.
And I have to normalize, I like to normalize what people can expect. And I hate the word normal. I like to encourage my clients to look at natural. What's natural for you as a couple? If you've got a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old, and you're wondering why you're not having sex 4 nights a week or many other scenarios, then we have to look at what is doable for you. Let's not idealize, and let's not compare ourselves. I think comparing ourselves to other people is really dangerous.
Yes.
Like that word you used, sexual. I was laughing like, 40 DVDs on sexual harassment? I've never talked about sexual harassment. It's enhancement. That's really what I've done my entire
I'm
career.
so sorry about that. Seems like the message
It was
came
hilarious. Like, what did you say? So enhancing what is, and it really comes back to what you're saying.
Yeah.
Let's look at what you have. You know, be grateful for what you have, and then we can build on that.
Right. Oh, I
Can't replace what wasn't there in the first place.
Yeah. So what is the number one reason that couples seek out a sex coach?
Well, I think there's a real rise in popularity for sex coaching, which is the profession that I founded in 1993. And I was trained as a sex therapist and a sexuality educator. And personally, and professionally, I didn't like that we had to make a diagnosis. And as a counselor in mental health care, you make a diagnosis and then you look in the manual and you give it a label and you pathologize. You've got a disease or a disorder. There's something wrong or broken. And I didn't want to work with clients that way. I wanted it to be a positive experience where they had hope. I'm like the hope giver to so many people that I work with. And I think that it's so important to use a coaching framework, and that's the difference between therapy and coaching. We don't look at the mental health disorders.
Right.
We look at where are you right now?
Right.
And where do you want to get to? What's in the way?
Yeah.
And what can I give you as assignments so that you can get on with it? But you have to do the home assignment. And that's where a lot of couples get stuck.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Well, we have a little comment in the chat, of course, and Victor says, "I try to be my own porn star."
I love that. Why not?
Hey, everybody have a dream.
As long as you're not stuck in pressure cooker land. So I think that's the thing. Victor, is that who commented? I'm not reading that.
Yeah.
Because it's great to why not be your own porn star? Everybody has that capacity, but don't put pressure on yourself to have to be that.
Right. I agree.
Right?
Okay. What is the biggest misconception of sex coaching that you find yourself working against?
Well, because I created this profession a long time ago, and I wrote the only book that's ever been published by a professional publisher, The Art of Sex Coaching. That's our textbook at Sex Coach U, and lots of people have read it who aren't my students. I don't really get confronted with that, but my students do. And I coach them how to answer that, because there are people who find this idea of you're a sex coach as hilarious, as they're assuming we're having sex with clients. Nothing could be further from the truth. And there are professionals who do have sex with clients, known as surrogate therapists. They're professionals who are trained and certified to do the work with a clinician at their side to help that client. But they're few and far between. And I think that not knowing that this is a profession is really the greatest challenge. It's not a ha ha ha, you're a coach. And it's not another flavor of the ice cream of coaching either. That's the other thing that I think I have to always qualify for people, that we're clinical sexologists. I'm a doctor, and I worked very hard to earn a PhD and a master's degree in this field. And it's serious because we're talking about health. Pleasure is a part of health. And we have to honor that. It's not just an add-on. It's really essential as an ingredient in how we can be healthy and well. I like to call it sexual wellness. The whole person has to be in harmony with themselves.
Well, this question is not here, but I have a question off of what you just said. Do you find that the North American culture, for example, puts so much commercialization and pressure on sex that we don't actually remember the pleasure of it? We tend to be so there's a lot of stigma around sex in itself compared to like Europe and other countries where that is actually pleasure and celebrated. Do you find that that's...
Absolutely. And living in the United States, I find that this is even getting worse. And the shaming, the judging, the guilt, and the lack of acceptance of sex and sexuality, because sex to me is what people do. Sexuality is who I know myself to be, how I respond, how I express myself. So I think that we're Puritans in this country. We just have to honor that. And Canada's different. You know, I mean, you had different rule, but it's still a reserved
Very
country,
reserved.
right? I mean, Barbados, I don't know. I've been to the Caribbean and it's looser. And I think in Europe, you know, the fact that you can go topless to a beach and nobody blinks an eye. Nobody's like, oh. I had an incident recently where I was at an event and a woman was breastfeeding, and she was so nervous that someone might like throw her out because she was breastfeeding. And I acknowledged her and I said, how beautiful it is that you feel safe enough here to be breastfeeding your infant. That's how uptight we are in North American cultures at large. We need to change that.
Yeah. I went down to Barbados and they had the crop over it. I think the entire Caribbean is like that, where dancing is an expression of sexuality. And in other places, they see it as provocative, but it's not. It has nothing to do with sex. So I think,
Well, I also think that when we talk about cultural differences, you just said something so important, which is that my perception, and I'm not an expert, but having visited the Caribbean and having staff who are from the Caribbean, who are sex teachers, what I notice is that there's more being in the body. There's more like fluid, flowing, pleasure of living in a physical body and just expressing that joyfully. We don't do that in North American culture. Guess where we're living? Right here in our heads. And we're like heads on sticks. And I spend so much time helping my clients embody how to go from up here into being fully in your body, and then getting them to experience and be open to pleasure. I have people keep a pleasure diary because so many of my clients don't even know what pleasure is to them.
Wow.
Interesting, right?
Yeah, very much. Go ahead, Teresa.
Okay. What are some of the ways to expand our understanding of pleasures beyond the pure physical aspect and embrace the emotional, mental, and spiritual dimensions? That's one part of the question. You can answer that, and then I'll read the other part for you.
Great. Well, I'm really glad you asked me that, because the way that I work with my clients and how I train my students around the world is I developed a system called the MEBS system, the signature system. And it's mind, emotions, body, and body image and behaviors, energy and spirit. So when you think about that, it's the whole person. It's the 5 parts of the sexual self, not just the mind, because of course the mind is huge in what we do sexually, and our emotions, which often can enhance it or get in the way, and our body. You know, we usually think about sex as physical, right? It's a physical act, but it's so much more than that. And then energy. I love coaching my clients to notice, where's the energy in you? And where's the energy between you and your partner or partners? And then the spirit part is the essence of yourself. What's the real you lurking inside? That's just aching to come out and be liberated and ignited. Or what's that little spark that for couples, often by the time they get to me, that spark is way, 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 way low, if it exists at all. And that's my job, is to help them reignite that spark, which is spirit. The spirit of a relationship is really the love in some ways that was there in the first place, or the lust. It's not all relationships are based on love.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. I'm going to read a little bit what's in the chat. Rudy's here. Hi, Rudy. Welcome to the show. So Victor says, only one position, Rudy. and then he goes, I tried them all, man.
Very
That's good.
You have 2 very advanced sexual people in your chat. And trying them all. So, you know, variety. It's very important what they're saying in the chat. Because sometimes when someone is bored, many couples in long-term relationships hit boredom. That's the one of the podcasts I've done recently, called it The Great Wall of China. And it's like, we just can't move forward in this relationship because we're so bored. And variety is what stimulates the brain, dopamine in particular, to get excited, to turn you on. So trying out new positions is a fantastic way of getting excited about what you're doing alone or with a partner. Not everybody has a partner. So I love hearing that.
Yeah. Well, apparently he has another question. He has a question. I can't see his
Okay.
question. Nicolette, let me know. So the question is,
Yeah, I
what
think
is the
the same
best position
question.
to have sex with your partner?
They're all great if they work for you.
I
No
agree.
best. There is no best. But
Yeah.
what I'll say is for male, female, heterosexual couples, often doing doggy style. So entering her from behind in the vagina is often a preferred style because it allows the female, the receiving partner, to control the angle and the depth of thrusting during penetration. And it's also, it liberates the partner's hands. So the hands can be doing something on the front of her body while your other body part is in action.
Yeah.
So I hear that a lot from my clients, but everybody has different wants and tastes.
Yeah.
And if you had pasta, homemade or not, every night, you're going to get really sick of pasta by night 4 probably. So changing it up is really important.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was listening, Teresa.
You can have your pasta with wine, or you can have your pasta with vodka. That should change the mood.
Yeah. And one more thing. They said, define I may know by a different name. I'm not sure what he's talking about. He says, I agree with you on that. I just wanted a doctor answer. So the doctor answered.
My pleasure.
There you go. So the next question
Okay.
we have, let me just make sure I am on track here. What intimacy challenges do you find couples have in relationships?
Well, intimacy is a big word, and it doesn't mean necessarily sex. So sex can lead to feeling intimately connected or bonded with a partner, and it cannot. It can be like scratching an itch. It can be stress release. It can be a way for you to feel beautiful or powerful. And intimacy is really, in many ways, emotionally risking being vulnerable with another person who can really see you, who really knows you, and you're exposed. And sex is a very vulnerable thing. So sometimes I find working with couples, which is my favorite, I love working with couples more than individuals, I find that helping them feel safe is really what they need in order to feel intimate and to let go, to just loosen up. Like you were saying about dancing.
Yes.
Like loosen up, lighten up. That's a lot of how to open up yourself to be able to really go for and experience connection. A lot of couples have sex to connect.
Yeah.
And the research still shows that a lot of cisgendered men really need sex in order to open up emotionally, whereas a lot of cisgendered women need to open up emotionally to have sex. So we
There you
have
go.
a lot of
Yes.
problems, right? That's why you need a sex coach.
Yeah. It's a big misconception around that. I think a lot of men don't realize that majority of women, they need that connection before the cookie can come out.
Right. They need to open their heart before they open their legs.
There you go.
Fellas, so listen up.
Okay. How can couples explore and experiment with different types of touch, sensual massage, or sensory experience to enhance pleasure and connection? And what is your touch contorium?
So I'm really glad you asked that question, because when I work with sexless couples, what I find is that they're also touchless. They've stopped touching. And they've stopped touching because there's one terrifying thing that happens in long-term relationships, especially when sex has kind of gone down, waned off, and that is affectionate touch. So, one partner is standing at the sink doing the dishes, and the other one comes in the door, goes over and like pinches that person's butt. hey, hi, honey. And this person goes, get away from me. I'm not ready for sex.
Oh.
Because it's a miscommunication, right? So touch is a form of nonverbal communication. And when I wrote the book, The Art of Sex Coaching, I wrote another book before that that has the touch continuum in it too. I started thinking about, okay, so how are my clients actually moving through touch in their relationship, and where are they falling off the radar when it comes to having sexual touch, eroticism? And it begins with healing. So a lot of people feel very comfortable, like, oh, could you rub my neck? It's so sore. That's a healing touch. Then they can move to affectionate touch, which is give me a hug. And often it's the tent hug where, one butt's here, but they're not touching like that.
Right.
Because this is really how we activate the nervous system into feeling close, is when we really make contact and hold it and breathe together. And then the next level is sensory. So it might be, gliding a hand along the arm, or, putting a finger around the lips sensually with intention. Intention is a huge part of it. And then erotic touch, which is, guess what? I want to be sexual, so I'm going to start, the energy is going to start to flow there. And then sexual, which usually involves looking at each other and the genitals or the sexual anatomy. And it's like stairs that go up, steps that go up, but each step along the way is its own place where you can stop. Couples need to learn to say, I want this or I don't want this.
Right.
And I think that's the real problem with a lot of couples, is they don't feel safe, that word again, to communicate their truth. What's going on for you? And being able to tell your partner what you want, what you desire, what's okay, what's not okay, is also part of a healthy sexual relationship.
I have a question in the chat that says, why does foreplay not work for every woman?
Well, it depends what you're doing. There's no such thing as a definition of foreplay equals A, B, C, D, E. Because foreplay, it's interesting because foreplay often involves kissing, not blowing an air kiss like to your auntie, but kissing where your lips are touching and there's membrane exposed, and tongue and mouth is not necessarily what activates everything.
Okay.
And it allows you to connect. It's that connection again, but it also stimulates the whole sexual cascade of hormones and all of the behaviors that go on inside our bodies. So foreplay is a very important part of being sexual with a partner.
Yes.
Okay, we have our last question, and quick question because we have our clock is counting down before our break.
I know. I see
That was so great. It was so great. You have to come back again.
We're enjoying our Q&A. What are some of the ways to cultivate and maintain a healthy sexual desire within a long-term relationship, and what is the erotica formula?
So I'm going to be quick. So the erotic formula is from a friend who is no longer alive, Jack Moran, who wrote a great book. And it's this: E for excitement equals attraction plus PO, a perceived obstacle.
Wow.
So I could say more about it. We don't have time. But think about what might be an obstacle. Maybe you're going out with the guys tonight and she's like, or he's like, well, you're not going to be home tonight? No, I'm going to be out. Oh, well, then I can desire you to come home. So it's really bringing in something that's in the way so that you're not doing 24/7. The two of you are looking at each other, working at home, living at home, and you're so sick of each other. You have to really make it special.
Okay. I'm going to ask this question because this if I don't ask this question, I know I'm going to get a letter. So why do men not know how to navigate around the clitoris? Because that was a mailing question.
They need education. There's a book called Clitorate, like literate. That's a very important book. There have been a few really great books written around the clitoris. Clitoris is the center of the universe of a woman's pleasure. So get to know it. Explore it. Ask her, what feels good? Does this feel good if I go like that or like that? And know that the clitoris is the little pearl, the little bud that sticks out is only a part of this huge internal structure that is the clitoris inside in our abdomen. And the clitoris is absolutely the most important thing to know, recognize, and know how to play with and pleasure her. So get to know it.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming and joining us tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about your Sex Coach U promotion. Teresa, you want to grab that one?
Yes, the Sex Coach U, and we're going to have a little contest with our guests, and your win will be either a 20-minute session with Dr. Patty or her ebook. So we're giving some more details on that, and we will see who will be our winner.
Yep. And if someone wants to learn how to do or what to do or be a sex coach or what they should do, enroll at Sex Coach U. We will put the website on our page, and we want to thank you so much for coming and joining us. Please check out her book, and all the details are going to be on our page. And we thank you so much. We hope that you come back again and join us on Hot Tea with Pleasures.
You two
we'll be
are
right
wonderful.
back. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye.
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 We'll be right back with more Hot Tea with Pleasures. Don't go anywhere.
'Cause when fly friend sugar, they just want to stick. The woman know they're thirsty and they want to taste it. Sugar boy, don't play with my head. If I can't get you, boy, I don't want no one else. Sugar boy, please understand. Don't ever give me my dinner to another woman. Cause when fly friend sugar, they just want to stick. The woman know they're thirsty and they want to taste it. Sugar boy, don't play with my head. If I can't get you, boy, I don't want no one else. Sugar boy, please understand. Don't ever give me my dinner to another woman. Cause when fly friend sugar, they just want to stick. The woman know they're thirsty and they want to taste it. Sugar boy, don't play with my head. If I can't get you.
Okay, we are back. That was so great. I really enjoyed her.
I'm glad that our chat was that active.
Yeah, we have more questions over here. What it says here? Okay, so everybody's taking notes and paying attention. Victor said, Rudy said, Victor, you pay attention? And Victor said, yeah, I'm taking notes. He goes, I say grace before meals and hope for the best. I can't. And then Victor said, oh, and turn on the GPS. And Rudy said, you're well-mannered. You were raised well. And Victor said, you do what? You don't have to be a rogue all the time. I don't know what's going on, but they're having a good old conversation. Welcome back with the Hot Tea with Pleasures. I am Hillary in Ontario, Canada.
And I'm Teresa in the island of Barbados. Welcome.
Yeah,
we glad you have joined.
Yeah, if you just tuned in,
we're happy that Dr. Patty.
Yeah, Dr. Patty was here, and if you missed her, you can check out our recorded feed after we're finished the live stream. We had some really great questions. Some of them we didn't get to, and we hope to get them next time. We'll send them over to her, and maybe she can answer those questions, and we can post them on our Instagram as well as our YouTube. So the last question we had was about the clitoris. So let's talk about the clitoris. Teresa? So Dr. Patty said that men don't understand the clitoris, and I think that is one of the main problems with it. They know that it does bring us pleasure, but not really understanding how much pleasure or how to get pleasure. Where are all the ghosting people at? What? I'm reading the chat. So the chat is actually, and the views are actually pretty high tonight. A lot of people are in there. So thank you so much for showing up and for watching us live. I'm watching
You
the
know, so
chat.
don't
It's so
dribble.
funny. Rudy and Victor just going back and forth. You know, sometimes you just gotta come by and just listen to those two go back and forth. It's pretty hilarious. So, what do you know about the clitoris, Teresa?
Can you hear me, Nina?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes. It's the center of the vulva, basically. It's a pleasure area. It's a pleasure area in our body. It's the ones that give you the highs and the lows, make your toes curl.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents worth. You go ahead.
That's your 2 cents. That's your 2 cents worth.
That's my 2 cents worth. You go ahead.
That's it. So as Doctor,
You want me to talk more than it?
that's as Doctor Patty said. It's, you know, we see the small outer piece that, you know, the body part, the small part. Is very visible, you know, from the outside, but on the inside, it's so much bigger and it's so much connective nerves to an organ that is extremely large and the centerpiece of a woman. And if you learn how to massage it the right way or to treat it the right way, what is happening? So, Rudy said, Victor, them going to be scared now and don't dribble. Victor says she knows she got one. Oh God. He's talking about you. When I asked, what do you know about, when I asked, what do you know about the clitoris, Victor said, you know you have one. So, and Rudy said, I want to hear the answer, Hillary. You want to hear her answer, Hillary? So he wanted to hear your answer. And Andrew said, sweet like chocolate. And Victor put up a watermelon. Okay. So men know nothing about the clitoris. So the female organ is capable of erection. Did you guys know that? It's under sexual stimulation. And it's something like a male, like a penis, right? The clitoris develops, as does the penis. And from the genital how do I say this? I want to say this in a nice way.
What are you trying to say?
So, for example, did you know, I'm about to kill the vibe right now, did you know that when we're all in the cell form, we're all actually female, right? And so as we develop, as the cell develops, it either becomes male or female. And Teresa's face. And so if you were to take a man's penis and dissect it, you would see a clitoris on the inside. So the body of the
I don't
clitoris.
think you see a clitoris on the inside because you cut his jaws off, as you would say. It's obviously the shape that is left behind. It's going to be similar, but not that you're going to see one on the inside. Come on now.
Well, you should dissect it. So the body of the clitoris is suspended by a pubic bone, by a short ligament, and emerges in the form of a tiny external gland at the top of the vulva, right? So it's lying over glands and skin and is known as the clitoral hood. And the glands are, they supply all the sensitive nerves and energy and endings and account for all of that sexual stimulation. Oh God, here they go. Andrew say, oh yes. Victor said, oh boy. Andrew, you're a professional eater. Okay. Down the rabbit hole, Victor says. And then they're laughing. He goes, he is, oh God, okay. I'm going to stick to the script. So anyways, it extends internally from the glands and is the shaft or body of the clitoris. It's a small cylinder of 2 to 3 centimeters long. That's how long it is on the inside. And from the body extended, the erectile optical, and buds. So there are buds in there as well. So there's all these different sensitive things. That's why the more you massage the clitoris, the harder it gets and the more erected it gets, right? And then the long structure, that one is called the kura, which is made from a non-erectile tissue. And the body of it, the buds together, are shaped like a wishbone, with a latter 3-ish tissues forming to arm that wishbone. So yes, there's a wishbone in there. Yeah. Uh-oh. Somebody deleted their their messages with the okay. So then after that, so during the sexual excitement, the buds become engorged with blood, and that's what caused the erection.
The stimulation.
Yeah, exactly. So, Rudy has a question for you, Teresa. Here we go. Teresa looks like she lost on the topic tonight. Are you lost on the topic?
I'm looking to see where you're reading from if I want to hear.
Oh, okay.
The bit where you're talking about all of us are born female, and then if you cut it off, you will see the clitoris.
Oh, that's something I watched on. I actually watched a dissection happen. It was I watch a lot of documentaries and whatever around sexuality, and that's one it was a sex change, and I was watching things happen. So, have you ever wondered where the clit is? He wants to know why you're so quiet. They want to know why you're so quiet.
Only one can talk at one time. So Hillary was speaking, hence I was quiet. And if you want to know where the clit is, you can go and look at your diagram. and this is who's speaking. Who's asking why I'm so quiet? Victor or Rudy?
Rudy said you look lost on the topic, and Victor said, yeah, realize how quiet she is. And then Rudy said, yeah, Victor, you noticed it too, huh? They're just giving you a hard time. So the clitoris of the clit is located at the point where the liver
is the external part.
The labia mora is. And the outer lips of the genitals of people assigned female at birth. So it meets near to the pubic bone. So most people try to play with the clitoris, and they never ask the female, what does she like? And that's what Dr. Patty was saying. You have to ask your cis woman, if that's between male female, or if it's a lesbian relationship, asking the woman where is the more pleasurable, because not every part of the clitoris is pleasurable for a woman, because you might be rubbing one side of it and that's not her sensitive side. You have to ask your woman. She masturbates. She knows exactly where to look for and what she likes, and how she wants to feel. Where desirable parts, not every part of the vagina or the clitoris is sensitive to touch. So you have to ask questions. They're telling me to stop talking, so they want to hear you respond.
How you can stimulate the clitoris, because everyone is different and has different sexual zones and desires and how they're turned on. So we cannot stress and say, well, it's going to be this way for this person.
Well, that's what I was saying. I said that's why you have to ask. That's why you have to ask your mate. What's the area that is more sensitive to her? Yeah.
There's no one way of stimulating the clitoris. You need to do some.
Can you see the chat?
Sorry?
You should look at the chat, because I don't want to read anymore. They are giving you a hard time, girl.
Tell us about cupping.
Cup? So they
about cupping.
Cupping. Someone talking about cupping.
I think
they keep saying it over and over again. Tell us about coupling. So go on, Teresa. You want to tell them about coupling?
Are they referring to the coral cupping that's in the chat?
Yeah.
I think I'm not sure what they're referring to. So, in terms of your experimenting, you can see how often you have sex and the areas that you touch, the ones that are more stimulating for him or her. In this case, her. Some people introduce stuff like ice. Some people introduce different sweeteners like honey and fruits. That can be stimulating for some persons, but being in the place in which you feel more comfortable, that one is the most pleasurable for your partner.
Okay, so coupling is like a sexual. It's a sexual pleasure. It's basically it was an ancient Chinese practice of placing cups on the skin and creating suction, but it's turned into it's gained a lot of popularity, and it's a sexual positive community intensity of sexual pleasures. The benefits are incorporated in your sex life, and it's a way of also helping with headaches and back pain. But that actually started out as a sexual pleasure for in the Asian community. So there we go.
And that is part of the same therapy, with massage therapy. So that's why I was wondering if they were speaking to the lady in the chat, Coral Cupping, or if they were asking the question.
Okay. We have a couple of comments in here. It says,
"What do you turn politician tonight?" Rudy wants me to answer.
Well, hold on. Let's go back a couple because there's a couple of lines missing there. Let's start from where Rudy says, "What you like, Teresa?"
Rudy's asking what I like.
Yeah, what do you like? And then
every woman does her thing in a different way.
That's true. Every woman does.
Teresa turned politician tonight. And that's a bit close to the bone, Rudy. Agree, Andrew. I agree with you. Why is it that Rudy wants me to expose my legs, as the lady was calling it earlier, on
I don't know what's going
YouTube?
I'm lost.
That's the question that Rudy has in the chat.
Rudy said she's trying to be diplomatic, Victor, and Victor said more like a Lionel Craig. Okay. And coupling is spot on. Okay.
What's wrong with these two?
I don't know. There's also erotic coupling. You've heard about that one, right?
I think they like you said, the coupling basically started as a sexual thing. Yeah. So I guess as time went on, it was introduced into massage therapy. I don't know if this is why the lady gave herself that name.
Well, the erotic coupling is the same as the traditional therapy, but because they were using like glass cups to place on the skin and create a vacuum. But when you use erotic coupling, they place the cup on zones that bring blood to areas to increase sexual stimulation. So they'll put it on the nipples, on the butt, clitoris, the inner thighs, the breast.
This is the thing.
And large cups to intensify the sensation in those areas.
Yeah, when you do the cupping to the point where you see the blood comes to the surface, that is known as what they call the stagnant blood. So that's why it comes off and it looks really sticky. So that kind of slow you down. So that's why a lot of people do the cupping, as it helps improve the circulation. That's why you find a lot of people when they're into sports, they go and get cupping before the event.
Well, they talk about erotic cupping, that they want on the sexual organs. And they want to bring the stimulation to that because apparently that intensifies the feeling.
There's very small cups that I have, and I won't expose the persons that come to get cupping done, but there are some people that have that done. Like I said, some people do it for preparing for an event, and some people do it for when they have the engagement parties at the wedding night.
So they want to know, what do I like? What do you mean, what do I like? Since Tessa being a telephone don, what do you mean, what do I like? We're trying to get high ratings, Andrew. LOL. Victor, I'm not sure.
What are you not sure about?
I'm not sure what he means. What do I
like?
like? I'm not sure. I like about what? What are you talking about? You gotta ask me a more specific question. So the next one, before we're almost done here, let's go back to the let's go back to the clitoris, because that's what we're also talking about tonight, and we're going to try to help men locate things and areas within the clitoris. Okay, so there are parts of the vulva. Again, it's located around the vagina. One second. Yeah. My pad is stuck. Okay, there we go.
They're also
Okay, so you have the So you have the gland clitoris, is a small part of the clitoris located at the top of the vulva, and then you have the clitoris hood, which is the skin that covers the gland area, and we told you that earlier. And then you have the clitoris wrap, which is the uteria. That's the one that's wrapped around the area that allows the urine to come out, right? So knowing all that and knowing how sensitive it is, there are certain things that you should not do to clitoris to get stimulation. And here are a list. 1, slap it. There's that. It's actually pretty painful when you do something like that. I don't think people realize what.
I think it's similar to when men get hit in the testicles.
Yeah, don't do it. It's not fun. There's a lot of nerves in there, and that is actually pretty painful. Have you ever? I don't know if it ever happened to you, Teresa. It happened to me when I was younger. Have you ever got hit in the vagina, like with a ball or something? I've gotten hit. It is
Maybe like
not fun. Huh?
That sport, we do hurdles. When you're doing hurdles.
Hurdles?
Yeah, when you're doing hurdles. That happened to me once.
It happened. You fell on it.
And I stopped. That was my first
You're done.
Hurdles.
You literally have to take a minute to take a win. Like you're like,
minute?
oh, girl, I was on the floor like, oh my god.
Done me and the PE class.
Yeah.
If that's how men feel when they get hit in the testicles,
yeah.
Boy, no, please.
We know at this age, most definitely not. I'm so confused as to what they're talking about. I don't know. They have a question for me, but I don't know what the question is, because that wasn't really a question, that was a statement. But anyhow, let's wrap it up, Teresa. This was a lot of information, a lot of great information. Dr. Patty really came in and answered a lot of questions. We had more questions for her. We'll put those questions up and hopefully have those answers from her. We want to thank everyone for coming in tonight and joining us here on Hot Tea with Pleasures. Remember to go onto Instagram and like and comment. If you have any other questions for Dr. Patty, please feel free to add them to the list of different questions on Hot Tea with Pleasures, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube. Teresa, what's going on for you in Barbados?
Nothing much is happening here. School is starting next week, and what I had spoke about last week with the, what do they call it, head and feet, to get the children here graded, and you come in and get the foot massage while you wait for the children. That's been a nice hit with the parents.
Yeah.
So that's about it from my end. And what about your end? Are you back into the trucking, your studies?
Well, I'm doing studies, but I have the book coming out in December, and I also want to start doing the workshops again. I'm very, very excited about what's coming, and also we're going to have those merchandise coming up soon. Can't wait for that to come, but I'm excited about my book launch. It's like the end of me dealing with all this craziness and celebrating my life, and I can't wait for you guys to see Fat, I Am Black. That talks about my autobiography of how I realized that, not focusing on the external so much, but realizing that my intersectionality as a black woman is more important than the cover everybody tries to see. You know, trying to focus on weight and what society thinks you should look like, and more thinking about realizing that I had something much bigger, a bigger barrier, which was me being a black woman. That is much a bigger barrier than you're fat, But anyways, I want to thank you guys again for joining us. Thank you so much, Rudy, Victor, Andrew, Baby Eiffel. There were so many people in there. I saw another person. I can't see. There's other people in there, but big crowd tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Dr. Patty, again for giving us your time. Thank you, for Colette, for being in the chat. She's a great social media specialist. Please check it up for her Instagram page. She's up and coming. Grab her now. Okay, Teresa, I will see you next Saturday here on Hot Tea with Pleasures. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming.
Miss that stack, taking big swings, put your hand to the bat. Put me in the ring, you'll go out in a bag. Cause I sing what I mean and I bring it to the mad light. Ain't got time to kill, I got time to feel. I took the red pill, I know life's short so I wanna live real. But how is it supposed to feel?